We all have this pure, creative force inside of us, the same energy that pushed humans to do the impossible. This is the life force energy where we feel most alive. Our life force energy is precious. It's the same force that could be guiding us to the life we actually want. But when we don't know how to channel it consciously, it gets scattered across a bunch of meaningless distractions, and I end up feeling exhausted and unfulfilled even though I've been productive all day. So in this video, we will learn how to transmute our life force energy through the 7 stages of alchemy. This is a method that's been around for ages that people have used to refine raw materials into something valuable, and we can do the same thing with our energy. The 7 stages of alchemy is a process to transmute our life force energy into pure wholeness so that when we operate from that state of being pure, whole, and integrated, reality will feel lighter, where we can really start to feel the guidance of the divine power. Certain experiences, people, opportunities will start to gravitate towards our energy in a way that matches our purpose. The 7 stages of alchemy evolved over centuries from Egypt's ancient wisdom traditions and chemical practices through Islamic science and into medieval Hermeticism, which is a tradition that combined science, spirituality, and philosophy into one unified system. Carl Jung deeply studied the medieval alchemy texts and saw this as a symbol for the journey toward becoming our whole, integrated selves. Jung saw the alchemical process of transforming base metals into gold as a metaphor for psychological transformation, specifically the journey from an unconscious, scattered state to a conscious, integrated whole state. Now, let's get into the first stage. The first stage, calcination, is about burning away what no longer serves us. This is where I eliminate distractions, bad habits, and ego-driven patterns that keep me stuck. This stage involves heating substances to high temperatures to break them down and remove impurities. Spiritually, this represents burning away ego and false beliefs that no longer serve our higher purpose. So books like Stop Fixing Yourself reinforces this practice for me. Here, we're disintegrating illusions and false limiting beliefs through having radical honesty about who we are, how we present ourselves to the world, and the ability to safely face our shadows. The second stage, dissolution, is where our rigid mental patterns get dissolved through getting plunged into the water of our unconscious. This stage is where the ashes from calcination get dissolved in water or acid to further break down structure. Here, we're deep into the unconscious and discovering what's underneath. I would encounter emotions, dreams, inner voices, shadows that I've shushed and buried down. So practices like shadow work, where I meet the dark parts of myself I may have projected onto others, is very useful in this stage. And whenever I successfully integrate a repressed shadow, like selfishness, my inner world feels more at peace. It's like I fed a wolf that I had been neglecting to feed in my inner world, and they are now chill and relaxed. A tool that I find very effective for this is called the 6 F's from IFS, which I covered in the first video on this channel. So for me, I have people-pleasing tendencies, especially when it comes to job interviews. But because I've accepted and fully embraced selfish aspects of myself, I am able to communicate who I am rather than people-pleasing. I recently had a job interview this week, and instead of resorting back to old mental patterns like people-pleasing and crafting a perfect persona for the job, which successfully worked in past interviews, this time I showed up as myself while acquiring more information about the job, the team, and the opportunity. Then at the end of the interview, I sent a follow-up email that further explained who I am and the kind of environment and team I would thrive in. I am no longer molding myself for a job no matter what. I had to learn my lesson the hard way. And if I need to abandon myself, stay small, or repress my inner voice, it's gotta go. Because anything alluring like wealth, stability, or even love from someone like family, a friend, a partner, some kind of community, if it is being built from a foundation of abandoning ourselves, repressing our true voice or raw inner nature, staying in the psychological cage, no matter what it's made out of, even when it's made out of love, which I don't believe is really love if there's a hidden agenda, but anyway, will never ever lead to true inner peace. It will lead to some kind of psychological warfare, and personally, it feels like slow inner child death for me. Just because someone treated us well, provided for us financially, gave us the care we needed, our journey in life is to unapologetically walk the path of wholeness, whatever that may be. And along the way, we may either encounter or reinforce connections, environments, and opportunities that are in alignment with our way of being. Whether it's supportive or challenging, the purpose is to constantly shed layers that only suffocate our full body, mind, soul expansion. I personally believe that that is the why of our existence, and the how matters just as much as our why does. I strive to make sure my how of walking the path of wholeness is fair, humble, respectful, compassionate to others, and overall soulful, whether they provide something for me or not. I'm a pretty fiery person though, and can get quite impulsive, so sometimes my emotions or rage get the best of me, where I sometimes neglect the how. The third stage, separation, is where we learn to distinguish between what's authentic and what's conditioned. This stage involves filtering and separating the dissolved mixture from stage 2 to isolate pure from impure elements. So here, we develop the ability to separate our true desires from what others expect of us, so we can keep what serves our growth and release what doesn't. This stage helps us understand our core values and inner truths. Think of it as clearing out psychological clutter. I find journaling to be a very effective practice for this because I can deeply reflect and categorize activities, commitments, and beliefs as keeps or release. Seeing it written on paper grounds me to the reality of the situation, and when I forget, I can always go back to the physical copy as a way to reorient me back to my truth. I did this when I got let go from my first big girl job. I wrote down exactly the kind of work I want to invest my 40 hours a week in, and the kind of skills I would want out of it. Once I discarded what no longer served my purpose, I started job hunting, where I eventually landed a job as a writer in a marketing team without any writing or marketing degree. And of course, with me being me, I got let go from that job too. But this time, I was able to acquire the skills I wanted, like being a better writer and the ability to discern the kind of manager I'd want to work with potentially in the future. The fourth stage, conjunction, is where we integrate the purified parts of ourselves, combining the unconscious with the conscious. This stage involves combining purified elements from the separation process into something new. This is the moment where we're reintegrating different aspects of ourselves. Here, we are aware of the societal traps that kept us caged and fed our ego. We are no longer influenced by them. We are finally free. When I got let go from the last job, I finally stopped giving a crap about needing to get another job. I'm taking my sweet ass time and being very, very selective with not just the work I'm doing and the skills I'm getting, but also who I'm working with and the mission that my work is serving. I don't care anymore about wealth and status. Right now, I live in a rural studio house in the middle of nowhere and sleeping on the floor. With this lifestyle, I'm able to slow down and assess my purpose, aka my way way of being and start treating it as my life's work. Since doing so, I've started receiving feedback and support in ways that, for the first time, has been leaving a sustaining sense of fulfillment that a six-figure salary could never replace. The fifth stage, fermentation, is when our old selves are dying, so a new, more enlightened version of ourselves can emerge. This can feel like a dark period though. However, it's actually when our transformation is deepening and becoming more authentic. This stage involves introducing bacteria or microorganisms to break down the combined substance from conjunction. This is a period of uncertainty and questioning, even when I thought I had things figured out. So I encounter tests and trials that challenge my newly integrated self. These kinds of tests are vital to my growth. My psyche must undergo this breakdown to access what's truly deeply for me. I could have just noped the interview, but because I personally learn best when my nervous system is engaged and in action rather than overthinking in my head, I chose to just go through the interview and pay attention to my body if it felt relaxed or not. The sixth stage, distillation, represents the refinement of consciousness and the purification of the soul. This stage involves heating and condensing the fermented material repeatedly to achieve greater purity. So whatever happens in the job interview I just had, I still have my newly integrated self where I'm constantly refining what I want until it's super clear. I remove any confusion about my goals and purpose. I don't resort back to the same thinking or way of being that got me trapped in the first place. Here, I make everything pure and focused. Hence why I sent that follow-up email. This is where we keep distilling our goals and intentions until we know exactly what we want and why we want it. We made it to the final stage. Coagulation is where we achieve wholeness. We have now successfully transformed from raw potential into someone who can consciously navigate the field of infinite realities. This stage is where the purified essence from the distillation process now solidifies into the final product, which they call the Philosopher's Stone. I want to end on that just because we reach coagulation, it doesn't mean we're done, I know. The 7 stages of alchemy is not a linear process, it's more of a spiral. We are still human, always facing new challenges, but now with a different way of processing each of them. Once coagulation is reached, we have more trust in the process. When life brings me into stage 1, that just means, oh yay, I get to evolve again, rather than, oh, everything is falling apart, which I understand. It can get pretty exhausting because our nervous system is recalibrating to these new patterns. Like a sore muscle after a good workout session, exhaustion can often be a sign that we've grown from adapting to some new challenge. When I'm in this growth exhaustive phase, it's a sign to rest and digest, to sit and enjoy the view for a bit, drink some water, feel the breeze, let everything download at its own pace. Through the 7 stages, we start with raw potential and end up as someone who knows exactly who they are, and from there, we can walk the life that's truly meant for us. We are the alchemists of our lives. Now, let's take a deep breath together. And always remember the magic within you. Till next time.